Oh my God. This is so special. This is the first time I've been sat upright in like 4 days.
How are you feeling?
Absolutely miserable. This is what I've got on. Ready? I've got about 400 pillows behind me. I've got an ice pack, a brace, a back brace, and my portable TENS unit, delivering electromagnetic shocks to my muscles to confuse the pain.
Okay.
Welcome to MotoMouths, the podcast for MotoGP, motorsports, and more. I'm your host, Zoe, and bonjour, hi, bienvenue à MotoMouths.
I mean, we did just leave Montreal.
Oui.
I'm your other host, also named Zoe. I don't speak French. Sorry.
There was a lot happening in Montreal this past weekend, including a lot of people who know nothing about hockey talking about hockey.
Yeah, they also mentioned Shane Hollander.
Way
Shane
too
Hollander
much.
got a mention.
Way too much.
That's too much.
They gave Habs jerseys to every single person on the grid, I think. And they also gave one to Lance. But the thing about Lance is that Lance has a Habs jersey. Like, he's been a Habs fan since day one.
Yeah, like, I think he has one.
I think he has one.
You don't need to get into it.
Yeah. You know who was at the Montreal Grand Prix, the Canadian Grand Prix?
I know William Nylander was at some F1 Academy stuff.
Good for him.
Right.
A woke king. No, the Montreal Victoire.
Good for them. Didn't they just win a cup?
With the Walter Cup. They were carrying it through the paddock. And I was like, wow, a bunch of losers finally get to see
real athletes.
Real athletes, real winning athletes. They got to be blessed with the presence of Marie-Philippe Poulin.
They have no idea how lucky they are.
I really don't think they know how. They got to see two wives, champions together, be champion on the same line.
The wife line.
The wife line with Abby Roque.
That's what they call themselves. It's very cute.
I love them so much. Okay, great. Well, before we get into Mugello, what's the status update
on
MotoGP? No, not you.
Oh, I was like, what are we talking about?
No, injury-wise.
Oh, the status is that we are largely the same. The big status is that Alex Marquez has been officially confirmed to miss the next 2 races. And Johan Zarco, we all knew this. He will be missing quite a few more. We don't really know. Fun isn't the word I want to use right now. But what is happening is kind of verging on fun because they're just kind of looking for someone to sit in their bikes for the next couple races.
Oh, this is really giving Prelude the final piece for all my K-pop fans out there.
I didn't know you were that into K-pop.
I'm not. I'm really into the cast-offs of Cat's Eye, which is what this group was made of. There's a lot of drama surrounding it.
Okay. It's kind of like a who's who of former MotoGP stars. And I say star is like kind of a sarcastic like phrase. Obviously, Michele Pirro is one of the first names that comes up for Alex's seat filling. The problem is Mark may need him.
Oh, no, like spiritually, emotionally?
Well, I mean, just gonna quick sidetrack while we're talking about all this. Marc Marquez is going to Mugello this weekend.
Right.
He got signed off by all of his doctors, like go for it. And now all he needs to do is be confirmed fit by the MotoGP doctors. Best guess is that's gonna happen because they're all charlatans. They don't know what the fuck they're doing with their jobs. And also like MotoGP athletes will just race, like they'll lie. It's a whole thing.
They love to lie.
The famous test for a broken collarbone to see if you're fit or not is 1 push-up.
1 singular push-up.
Single push-up. So there's a really good chance that Mark races this weekend. However, if he doesn't, they might want to put Michele Pirro on his bike instead of Alex's. Factory team gets their kind of pull first. What that means is now they're kind of down to their like next options. Nicola Bulega is also in the Ducati kind of stable of people that they could pull from. Unfortunately, I think he's busy this weekend, and I think he's busy next race weekend, so they can't really pull him for most things. Next up, they might go for Andrea Iannone. Who knows? So we don't really know. It's a really who's who in the Ducati kind of network for Alex's seat for the next couple of weekends. All that to say, a fractured C7 vertebra is nothing to joke about. So I'm really glad he's like trying to take the time, but you never know with MotoGP athletes. They love to come back early and just like kind of ignore all that stuff. With Johann Zarco, it's also a similarly like complicated situation because Aleix Espargaro is still like very fucking injured from a crash that he had with Honda about a month ago. So he's definitely not fit to race. And then next up would be Taka Nakagami. But all reports suggest that they don't want to risk Taka because if Taka crashes, injures himself at Mugello, he is their number one test kind of person to help them bring the 2027 bike into the world.
Oh my God.
So they'd be fucked. Yeah, with Aleix down, they only have Taka.
They should make a game show.
And it's just funny because like we talk about all this stuff with like wanting to have multiple or have a reserve rider for every team. They still get injured when they're technically like not on the MotoGP clock.
It doesn't solve the issue.
Well, and it's funny because in F1, they string them along and they rarely ever need them. And then they end up spending 2 years being a reserve driver doing fuck all. And then they go to Formula E and then suddenly their peers are in Formula One. And it's like, that's a whole issue in of itself. But then in MotoGP, you never need them, yet never need them because everyone's just injured all the time, races on it. But then you put someone who's not trained on that bike and they're going to injure themselves anyways.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a real chicken and the egg situation.
Glad it's not my job to fix.
Yeah. I will simply watch and see. Listen and learn.
Yeah, I'm #listening, #learning, no tap apology, ready to go at any moment. You know how it is. I did mention it. Mark will be back this weekend. We talked about it last week. I really feel like I woke up this morning and I saw the light at the end of the tunnel.
You had a spring in your step. You were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
And what else happened today, Zoe?
Evgeny Malkin was signed. Big day for crazy old men enjoyers.
Yeah, Peepaw's in Pittsburgh for one more year.
Thank God.
Thank God. I don't know what I would have done.
No, I genuinely, like, I'm on cloud 14.
Not cloud 9. You're on cloud 14.
I'm way above cloud 9.
You're on cloud 71. Duh.
Oh my God. Of course.
Moving on. Okay, so we need to talk a little bit about the manufacturers versus Liberty-Smeg of it all.
The listing towards unionized labor.
That's kind of not what we're talking about today, but I did see a very funny tweet from Matt Oxley. He joked that he's bringing 22 copies of a book titled something like How to Unionize to Mugello.
Can we get in on that?
Yeah, Matt, let us know if you need any help with that.
Kickstarter, we're there.
It is called Workers Can Win, a guide to organizing at work.
Solidarity. One day longer, one day stronger.
Someone responded and goes, you'll probably come back with 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll come back with 23, a Liechtenstein situation.
Oh, 100%.
They're so anti-unionization, one will spontaneously appear.
No, but we need to talk about some manufacturer kind of movements that have been happening. So I know we've obviously been talking about the reserve rider situation. We've been talking about them going to Adelaide instead of Phillip Island next year. We've been talking about a lot of the kind of back and forth that we've heard rumblings about from the manufacturers versus Liberty and Dorna. What's been going on is that there are reports that in the midst of all of this discussion about the new agreement between the manufacturers and Smeg and Dorna, whatever, there's been this report that the newest kind of thing on the table is moving to a one bike structure. Right now in MotoGP, there are 2 bikes required for every rider at all times. It's just part of the regulations. So that's how we have flag to flag races, because they have one bike set up for the dry, they have one bike set up for the wet. That's what also happens when someone crashes in quali, sprints back to the pits, they can get on a bike within a minute and be back and set a fast lap. Happens in races too. It happened at Silverstone last year where Mark crashed out. Conveniently, there was a red flag called and he got to get on his second bike and finish the race. What this proposal suggests is that instead of having the 2-bike setup, they just go to 1 bike. This is not crazy if you know anything about other motorcycle racing series. Moto3 and Moto2 are both 1-bike series. I think World Superbike also is. Honestly, most of them are. MotoGP is the outlier in this case. But MotoGP is very different from all of these other series in the ways in which you risk everything. I think TT is very different.
Yeah.
Can't get into that.
We don't even glance towards TT. That is...
I have an iron stomach, but I don't have that iron of a stomach.
Yeah, that's...
I tip my cap.
Yeah.
So, in theory, this isn't a crazy thing to suggest, and it's being brought to the table as a cost-cutting tool.
Yeah, I think my initial issue with it, if you will, is that they sure have been making a lot of noise about really milking the show and getting the show and everything with last weekend, the second restart, and talking about making sure we have reserve drivers just in case so people can go riding. This seems like a really wild thing to be proposing if you want to have a consistently put on show where you can get the most money out of it, because if it does rain, well, then you're fucked and things get delayed and people get pissed. No. Sorry, you're the main attraction. When you're the main attraction, you have to have contingencies.
It's so interesting you say all that.
Do you also agree with me?
I do. But here's the thing. Guess who proposed this?
Who?
The manufacturers. I think there's more to it.
Oh?
I definitely think there's more to it.
Say more.
The manufacturers have spent the last 6 months essentially saying, we're asking for more money from you. We want a better profit sharing structure. We, the teams, essentially control and are the most known quantity to the things that you profit off of, the bikes and the athletes. They trust us. They work for us. Please ignore my hopes and wishes for a union at this point in time. Thus far, it looks like Liberty and Dorna are not playing ball. We know that the manufacturers have boycotted press events. We know that the manufacturers have essentially started practicing collective action themselves. They have brought in their own team. They brought in their own kind of team captain in Lynn Jarvis, who is apparently very involved in this process. So we know, and we've known for the last few months, that they're not going to take any of this lying down. The base issue that they've been fighting with Liberty and Dorna about is we need more money from you. The biggest point is that Liberty wants them to invest more in social media, in press, in comms, all of these things, which means that these teams need to spend more money. What I think is happening here is that manufacturers putting this on the table is pushing Liberty and Dorna into a corner. Because Liberty is saying, we want reserve riders. We want people who can run the bikes every single weekend. A single bike structure would not make that happen, to your point. It would cause delays. It would keep people from racing. Some people have made a very good point that, for example, let's say Mark. Mark has a single bike. He crashes in the sprint. They can't fix it for the GP. They're fucked.
Then your main attraction is gone.
He's not racing. Inside Aprilia, you have an issue with Bez and Jorge's bikes. Part of the kind of attraction of this single bike thing that comes to cost cutting is with 1 bike per person, you don't need as many engineers in the garage. You only have 1 bike. Both bikes are fucked. Do you have enough manpower to fix both of them?
No.
Who do you choose between? There's also the question of when it comes down to a closer title fight, do you want that title decided
by someone not racing?
By the fact that they just can't get on a bike? No one wants that.
No one wants that.
It erodes the sense of the sport and the idea of racing. And also you're eroding the money-making process.
I just also think the question is to all of these people involved, and I don't have the answer. What makes you more money? The cost cut of having 1 bike or the potential points and prizes won from racing with 2?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think it might be the latter.
Well, it also directly contradicts the idea of having full-time replacement riders.
It's a smart negotiating tactic. I just worry that SMEG isn't smart enough to not go for it.
I think they won't.
Good.
Partly because of all the things we've discussed. Because I don't think Liberty is stupid. You don't turn Formula One into what it is by being stupid. That's the truth of the matter. I don't think Liberty is stupid. I think they are frustrated because there are now reports emerging that people inside Liberty are reasonably sure they massively overpaid for MotoGP, which everyone has been saying the whole time.
And we been knew.
We all knew.
And you too could have been new.
We all knew.
Did they not get like an outside evaluator?
Well, they had the EU looking into it for like a year and a half.
Silly.
That's the craziest thing about this is we all knew you overpaid and you sat there with your thumb up your ass for a year and a half and never tried to negotiate down. I don't really understand it. So there are reports also because of the previous weekend about like these horrific crashes that people inside Liberty are really waking up to not only the fact that they overpaid for this product, they also really don't seem to understand it.
Yeah.
And there are suggestions that people inside their Liberty kind of community are kind of like, we didn't know it was like this. Like, we didn't know it could be this bad.
Listen.
And it's like, whoa, again, what were you doing for the year and a half while the EU rooted around your whole business structure?
If you adopt a bunny at Easter, you can't get rid of it by Christmas.
Just so interesting of like what seems to be happening over there. Because what do you mean you're confused?
Well, we have to, and this is critical, Zoe. We have to remember they are American.
So are we.
But they are men.
Not all of them.
The ones in charge.
I mean, probably.
The ones doing the buy-in are American men. Have they ever listened, learned, sat down, shut up, investigated, bargained in their entire lives?
No.
Exactly.
I just find it very difficult to be like, what do you mean you didn't know?
No, it's laughable.
What do you mean?
And we will laugh.
There's also a lot of like public outrage about this. It is one of the things this year I've seen fans really been like, what the fuck is going on?
It's like mom and dad are fighting, except dad is just like, he just woke up from a 10-year coma.
Who's dad?
Liberty.
Who's mom?
I guess Smeg.
They're the same thing now. Are we
they?
dad?
Are we human or are we dancer?
We might be dad.
This is a pro-dad podcast.
We are pro-dads occasionally.
Some dads.
But yeah, I don't know. I think the closing thing I want to tie up like this point of conversation about.
In summation,
Matt Oxley was talking to Lynn Jarvis last weekend, walked up to Lynn Jarvis, said, hey, can we talk about all this? Like super casual. And Lynn, first thing out of Lynn's mouth is, there is no war.
There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
There's no war in Ba Sing Se.
Like,
Lynn
so
Jarvis,
true.
Lynn Jarvis really is the Judy of MotoGP.
There is no war in Ba Sing Se. Okay.
Would you like to go on a trip to Lake Laogai? The Emperor would invite you on a trip to Lake Laogai. You can go with your best friend, Jet. Anyways, now that I've outed myself as an Avatar weeb.
Okay, but who among us
isn't, right?
Listen, my mom is an Avatar weeb. Moving on.
Hey, this is crazy. Do you remember Ross Braun?
This is what I wanted to talk about. Speaking of people who bought things without knowing what it's all about.
Yeah.
Ross Braun?
He's back in a kind of mediocre way. I don't know.
He owns Pramac?
No, he doesn't own anything.
What does he do? Ross Braun, for those who don't know, is famous for purchasing, what team was it? Honda?
It was Honda, yeah.
Purchased Honda in F1 to make them Braun GP for 1 year.
It was during the recession.
For $1.
I think it was for like a quarter.
I think it's famously $1. 1 pence, maybe? Who knows?
Oh, I think it was a pence. I think it was British, probably.
One pound. I think it was £1.
Yeah, the 1 pound team.
In 2009, as kind of like, think of it as like proto Mercedes. They won that's how Jenson Button won his title.
Yeah, it was Jenson Button and Rubens Barrichello were teammates at Braun GP. There was a really great documentary hosted by Keanu Reeves, who is a longtime F1 and MotoGP fan.
Motorsport stan. Keanu, come on the pod.
Keanu, yeah, come.
Coming out with us, Keanu.
It's a very cool documentary. If you're really into any sort of motorsport racing, please watch it.
I think it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, if you're into just like history, management, like all of the kind of nitty gritty background stuff, really interesting.
Looking at a young, sweaty Jenson Button.
And a hot old one. And it's cool because by the end of the series, you see how Braun GP eventually became Mercedes. And you see all of the famous faces we now know in F1. Like James Vowles was there very early on. I think Fred Vasseur at one point was like connected to it.
Bono?
Ano, yeah, all those guys. And I think, too, if you look at MotoGP, this was a really tough time for Honda in all categories. They essentially got to like invest in Braun GP. It was incredibly financially unstable for everyone involved. Almost fell apart multiple times, but is one of the like major feathers in the cap of Honda's like motorsport presence that they feel very, very proud of to this day.
And they should be. They took a risk and it paid off.
Yeah. Anyways, Ross Brawn is now in MotoGP.
Somehow Ross Brawn has returned.
Somehow. He took the years off from F1 in like the mid 2010s and then came back and I think was like the racing director for Liberty Media and for kind of the FIA. And then I guess left somewhat recently and is now, he's a very close friend of the owner and I guess team principal of Pramac Yamaha. And so he is now a consultant for Pramac Yamaha and is on their board of directors.
Great.
What's really weird about this to me is like, I really feel like there's nothing for him to do. Like, I don't understand why he's there.
Okay, but do consultants ever do anything?
Yeah, but it's Ross Brawn. Pramac Yamaha is a satellite team. They don't have control over pretty much anything. What is he consulting on? Here's the thing. Pramac Yamaha doesn't get to really do their own innovation because they are explicitly there to make sure Yamaha has more actionable data. So the factory team controls any of their testing, any of their racing stuff.
Do you think this is like a shadow role where he's like shadowing for a little bit and then he's going to go up to Yamaha proper?
That's my guess.
Much like Top Rack.
That's my only guess.
I mean, I feel like that's got to be it, is that they're letting him like get the lay of the land, allow him access to both.
That's my guess.
So I guess we'll see.
Anyways, somehow Ross Brawn returned.
And I don't have any qualms with Ross Brawn.
I like him. He's done a lot for the sport.
He's not done anything explicitly evil, which is saying something.
Well, I mean, he is the reason Toto Wolff is in F1. Like, we're looking at dominoes. Last thing before we move on, we need to do Mugello predictions for MotoGP.
Okay, I'll go first. Marc Marquez P1.
Love the energy.
Marco Bezzecchi P2.
Okay.
Furman Aldeguer P3.
Okay.
Fail King Jack Miller.
You know what Furman said this week?
What did Furman say?
He said he's not going to be on a podium for a while.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. I am going to go with a Pecco Bagnaia P1, Marco Bezzecchi P2, Marc Marquez P3, and an Enea Bastianini Fail King.
Why not? All right. So that brings us to the Great Wide World of Motorsports. And we have a lot to talk about. So I think we'll probably take a skippity doodah over the sprint and kind of qualifying and everything in F1, which brings me to our Sunday coverage. And what I want to talk about, first of all, with our Sunday coverage is how I really didn't want to leave the Indy500 coverage to go watch the race. Because first of all, it was fucking lit. For those who didn't watch, there was a late crash that went to a red flag. And then there was another yellow flag because there was another crash.
Okay, Melbourne.
Literally. And then it was going to come down to a one-lap shootout. So it was...
They said, we want to get in on the NHL playoffs.
The thing is that like you will race for 500 miles and then it will just come down to a one-lap shootout, which I think is apt.
Kind of rocks.
Kind of really rocks. And it was wild.
Well, there were over the course of the whole race, there were like 70 lead changes, which is an insane amount.
The most lead changes in Indy 500 history. It was also the closest finish in Indy 500 history.
We got a maiden win.
We got a maiden win from Felix Rosenqvist. Dad powers. In the month of May, he became the Indy 500 winner and a dad for the first time with his little baby Stella.
Listen, on corners of the internet, there's really interesting studies happening.
There's data.
Anecdotal.
Data.
Stop. Anecdotal studies going on of the fact that so many men in motorsport only have daughters.
Why is that, Zoe?
I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Well, the science seems to say it's because the G-forces lower the male sperm count, the ones that tend to produce male offspring.
Sure. Why not? They did the milk.
Every year.
They did the milk.
You know, it was the one cuck who chose skim milk. You can either choose whole milk 2% or skim milk. It's kind of the main 3 options. But you know who was the one cuck that chose skim milk?
Who?
Roman Grosjean.
I was gonna guess it was wrong. Get him out of here.
Actually, he got the award for making up the most places in the Indy 500. He got a trophy.
I don't care. Get him out.
He had a chance to win. He came in like 7th.
I've never liked that man. We also saw some big names.
Oh, yeah. Corn dog, chili dog, slaw dog.
Oh, I was talking about Daniel Ricciardo.
I know. Daniel Ricciardo was there. He looked very handsome.
He was there supporting Connor Daly.
He was locked in. He was wearing his headphones. There was a video of him doing lunges while Connor was warming up. And it was like, hey, King, is this...
Do you want to maybe...
Is this doing anything for you? Any fire in your belly?
I saw an interview with him, and I think it was like him and Connor doing a podcast episode. He and Connor were talking, and Connor was just like, yeah, like, how has it been going? Like, have people been reaching out to you a lot? And Daniel was like, yeah, I know. People haven't been reaching out as much because I've made it so clear of where I am and, you know, what I do and don't want to do right now. And he talked about being in the gym, prepping and, you know, training for racing. And he said something along the lines of, I want to have a reason for it, but I also want it to be fun. Like, I don't want to just kind of like beat myself down. I want to go out there and have fun and do a good job and maybe not be worried about being the best, but doing it well. And I do, maybe I'm the problem because I do kind of feel like that's him opening the door to going back racing the most he's opened it since retiring from F1.
I think so. I still don't think it's going to be in a major series like IndyCar.
I also don't think it's anytime soon.
No, listen, I think someday Max is going to be like, hey, buddy, Le Mans. And you can't say no to that. The combined threes in that car, though, it will be struck by lightning. So they should really consider that.
Yeah.
The Indy500 was really exciting. Unfortunately, Catherine Legg did crash out early on in a really unfortunate situation in an avoidance maneuver. I believe that she couldn't have much control over. She is still the first woman to compete in the Coca-Cola 600 and the Indy 500, which is great for her. Really exciting.
And next year she'll finish both.
Exactly.
There's always so much pressure on things that try to make history. But I think in the end, it's like we forget all the tries and we always like only really remember the thing that does it.
Speaking of this, before we get into our F1 coverage, I do want to make a mention. Obviously, I think it'd be remiss if we didn't mention Kyle Busch.
Yes.
Tragically passing.
Devastating.
Just, it's so... My dad has had sepsis before, and I'm so... like, just knowing now how quickly it can progress. I'm so glad I didn't know that back when my dad had that.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult.
It's genuinely terrifying. I think that the outpouring of love and support for his wife, his 2 children, has been really beautiful. But like all weekend, this is like one of the most beautiful weekends in motorsport, or it should be if Monaco was happening this weekend, but it's not because F1 sucks.
I know. I really don't like it that way.
Still, a very beautiful weekend in motorsport, one that he was supposed to participate in at the Carolina 600. And we don't talk a lot about NASCAR, but I think that it was my first touchstone of motorsport. I'm sure it was yours.
Yeah, I feel like you don't grow up in the American South and get away without knowing something about NASCAR.
And if I think back to it, like the 2 things that I really knew, well, 3 things, because I was a little raging feminist, was Danica Patrick.
Obviously.
Before she became horrible.
Fucking crazy.
I knew Dale Earnhardt and Dale Earnhardt Jr. And then I knew the guy in the M&M suit, like the yellow M&M suit, because it was just so iconic.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. I think like I grew up very much in an Earnhardt Sr. and Jr. house. I still have a lot of fucking love and affection for Jr. I remember Danica Patrick. I remember her kind of paving the way and still sucking, which is kind of a feminist win in its own way. I think it's very hard. These institutions are not just things that we watch on TV and turn off. Like, you forget that they're things that people remember and live through. I think the other thing that happened kind of for me with this Kyle Busch tragic series of events is it started out very innocuous by all reports. It started out with him, I think, just having a sinus infection that he continued to race with, didn't treat because it was fine, because everybody gets sinus infections, progressed to pneumonia, continued to race with, didn't feel like he kind of needed to take a stop and deal with it. And I was talking to my dad about it actually, and he was like, yeah, well, like 10 days ago, there was a race and Kyle started like flagging and got on the radio and was like, I need to come in and see the doctor. I need a shot. Like, I'm not feeling good. And then it went from pneumonia to sepsis. And I think we talk a lot about how we like mythologize and kind of like editorialize the lengths racers will go to do the thing that they love, athletes in general. And I think on some level it is who they are, and you can't ask a lion to be a lamb. I truly believe that. But on the other hand, every step of the way this was treatable, and I think it makes me take another look at like the culture and the behavior that we uplift without any sort of analysis of. I joke a lot about the MotoGP doctors. I think they're really fucking scary. It's just a horrible, horrible thing.
No, it's a horrible situation all around. I think that the response to his passing has just come from every
angle, very, very respectfully.
My mom called me about it. There was a NASCAR night at my local hockey team, and he was there, and they posted about it. Iconically, he did recently win his 69th win, and so he'll forever be memorialized as having 69 wins, which I think
he'd think that is fucking funny.
I think he said it was really fucking funny.
Yeah.
I want to talk about specifically what Brad Keselowski, who was his kind of main rival throughout the years, and they had so much respect for each other, like all rivals do. And I think it speaks to what's so special about motorsport and what's so special about these men and women who push each other to be their very best. Because I just don't think you can eulogize somebody better than this. He said, I made him earn every victory and stole a few from him along the way. We took our shots at each other in the media and on track. But I like to think that somewhere deep down there was an appreciation that we pushed each other to perform at the highest level, even if neither of us would have admitted it. Tonight, I feel a little like the coyote with no more roadrunner to chase. His loss is all of our loss, but none more so than his family. Like, come on.
That's very sweet. And I think it's very much like, we talk about this too. These people are peers. Like, they know each other.
Very
Shifting
sad.
Shifting
gears. Let's get into our Montreal discussion. Do we want to start by quickly looking at our predictions?
Yes.
I feel like I was so fucking close.
I predicted George Russell P1. Didn't happen. Kimi Antonelli P2. Close.
Very close.
And I wanted to say Lando Norris or Charles Leclerc as P3.
Didn't happen. But
kind of close. Teammates. I also guess Ellie Behrman is a fail king.
How'd that go?
I don't really think there was much to write home about it. You predicted Lewis Hamilton P1.
I was so fucking close. That's actual close.
That is close. George Russell P2.
No, I said Kimi Antonelli P3.
And then for fail king, you went with Isaac Hadjar, which I think he had a mid weekend.
What do you mean? He had his best result so far of the year.
Well, and it was boring.
In a race where so much happened, I think that I can get
That was a race of attrition.
I think I can get a reverse curse.
I don't know if I would say that.
You never let me have any fun.
We had multiple DNFs. Here's the results. We had a Kimi Antonelli win, Lewis Hamilton P2, and Max Verstappen P3, rounding out this podium, the first Red Bull Ford podium of 2026.
And Max's first podium of 2026.
Which I think that goes without saying. Any Red Bull podium is a Max podium.
Also, best vibes of a podium all season so far.
Yeah, like weirdly, yes.
I don't think weirdly at all. I think Lewis and Max are so fond of that little bastard.
Lewis and Max are kind of rancid. It's like a real coin flip on the two of them.
It's like two divorced dads coming together to celebrate their child's graduation.
It really is.
Like they put him on his shoulders.
Yeah. Which apparently Lewis tried to do it the first time Kimi won, and Kimi was like, no. So this time he didn't even ask and just went for it.
So speaking of DNFs, we do the recon lap.
No, this isn't even a DNF. This is a DNS.
But I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, these lights are taking a long time to go out. Did somebody jumpstart? Did somebody do something? And then all of a sudden they all start going and it's like, oh, we're doing another grid formation lap because poor Arvid Ledlad raised his hand and said, I'm not feeling too good.
It was really bizarre because I was on the phone with my dad. I watched a day late because I had a life. And I was on the phone with my dad watching the race, and I just went, oh. And he goes, I haven't watched it. Don't say anything. I said, okay, you'll figure it out really quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Then the marshals start, they all go on their second formation lap, which I didn't know this, but if you do another formation lap, it starts to tick down the amount of laps of the race.
Yeah, because they gas the cars up for a very specific amount of laps.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So then they start wheeling his car backwards.
Yeah, they had to wheel it all the way back to the pit entry, which is like a quarter of a mile away.
And it took a while.
Yeah.
And so then they had to do another.
Yes.
So they ended up doing 3 formation laps.
Yeah.
They said, okay, ladies, now let's get in formation.
3 laps.
3 laps.
That was really devastating for Arvid. It really sucked.
So sad, sucked so hard, extremely funny.
Yeah.
Then we get started. Some really interesting things happen right away. Kimi gets great launch off the line. Lando gets great launch off the line and then does what? Fucks it up as per usual. Bottles it.
He does do that.
Bottles it, drops down to, I think, like 13th. The war of attrition begins.
I think Lando was up there for a little while. And he was first for a while.
Yeah.
The problem is that McLaren put both drivers on intermediate tires when the rain was about to stop. It was really fun for Lewis, who was going through the epic highs and epic lows of Ferrari the last couple of weeks.
Really fun for Charles, who said, do not talk to me again unless it is actually important or you are telling me it's the last lap.
Which he says in some variation of every single weekend.
And I laugh every time.
So Lewis has a new race prep tool, and I think you're going to laugh. He doesn't trust Ferrari simulator.
Why would he?
Tell me why he might not.
Is it because last year they built their car in simulator based on laws of gravity for a planet that does not exist, a universe that does not exist?
It might have something to do with that, maybe. So he, before the race this weekend, spent, I guess, a couple of days going through the raw data himself with his engineers.
He was in the sheets.
He was being messy in the sheets, and he built his race setup on that instead of the simulator.
That's kind of hot.
It is. And he was talking about it, and he said something like, Charles and I are the only ones that drive the actual car. So you'll have someone in the simulator saying like, yeah, this is all above board. This is doing what it should be. But they're not driving the actual car in reality. And so they're not maybe connecting what is or isn't going right. Lewis is his point. And he really liked the process. He appreciated that everybody was on board with him to do it. And he said, I'm not going to ignore the sim, but he wants to use it more as a validation tool in that
he wants to check his work with it.
Yeah, if it validates the race results or how the car felt during a race, that's more how he wants to use it. And then he did get like a little dig in at everyone who's under the age of 30 and goes, maybe I'm just old fashioned, but I don't think I need it.
And you know what? That's kind of hot too.
Yeah. Rare Lewis comment W for me.
Yeah. So getting into the race, we have a few quick DNFs. We've got Alex Albon, who continues to go through the torture nexus.
Yeah, he always has a really shit Montreal, doesn't he?
Yeah, except he had that crazy good double overtake like 2 years ago.
Yeah, but
besides that, Fernando DNF, no surprise there. Then we get to the biggest DNF of the race. So George and Kimi have been playing swapsies for the past 15 or so laps. The commentary is telling us that this is the most exciting racing we've ever seen.
I don't really believe them, but sure.
I think that they are lying. We later learn that these two have been racing each other under perhaps the greatest iteration of Papaya rules yet.
Which we knew that if there's anyone to innovate stupidity, it would be Mercedes.
Yeah. So last week we had black rules.
Yeah.
And this week we have what would Jesus do?
No, and it's not Jesus, it's Max.
Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah.
What would Max do when racing each other?
It's a really weird comment that Toto made it, right?
Of course.
It's such a weird comment because I don't think that's really what he means. Which also, by the way, this is like the infinite time that Toto is like, hey, Max, I'm down bad for you.
I saw somebody say that this weekend's, everybody was saying that this weekend's podium was Toto's wet dream. And they're right.
Pretty much. He said it's good to know the rules. Would Max have left space there? No. Would Max have opened the door or left enough space in turn 1? He wouldn't. So how do we want to do this between teammates? I think it's important for them to decide how they want to race each other and then with the outcome. Don't know what that means. What I think is what he means is that they need to approach every interaction they have with each other as if they are racing Max Verstappen.
Interesting.
Because I think what's happening here is that they're each thinking that, like, George is thinking this about Kimi, Kimi's thinking this about George, that they're going to get out of each other's way. Because that's what Mercedes and Toto want. They don't want them to get into a crash. They don't want to take each other out. I think what he's saying is you need to act like you're racing Max because you need to be that serious about what you know they're not going to let you do. Max would never leave a gap. Max would never let you go instead of like putting his car in the fucking way. Because he owns the apex when Max goes for it. I think that's what he's saying.
I agree, but also who knows?
Well, no one fucking knows what Toto is saying ever.
Exactly.
But what's deeply funny about this whole thing, too, I do want to like quick pin in this before we get back to the race thing. It's like, I'm seeing this on Twitter where now people are kind of like, what do you mean? Like they should be racing like Max or they should understand Max. And now there's this larger conversation happening where people are looking at Max and Lewis's racing towards the end of the Montreal GP. And they're like, wait, Max was like ethically racing Lewis. It's what they call knowing ethical wheel. And I think this illustrates Toto's point really well, actually. What these people are saying on Twitter is like, whoa, Max actually knows how to like wheel-to-wheel race. That's crazy. Normally he goes for like dive bombs and crazy corner entries and like super late on the brakes. He is very famous for saying, I'm actually here and you're going to bail out because I know you're going to bail out. That's what Max does a lot. The problem is Max can't do that to Lewis because Lewis is just as fucking crazy as he is because that's what it takes to win multiple drivers' championship titles. That's what Toto means. Do not assume the person you're racing is George Russell. Assume he's Max Verstappen. Assume he's fucking crazy because he is.
So then in the midst of this, does this make it non-ethical wheel racing?
I guess. I don't know.
Between George and Kimi?
I think the point is that they're too ethical.
Oh, the puritanical wheel racing.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep. George's car just stops.
Well, ironically, it was a power unit issue. And this comes the day after George was like, hey, my power unit's been really great the last 2 race weekends. Why does anybody want to get rid of them?
And he throws a little tantrum.
No, he throws a tantrum on track.
He throws his
Hans device.
Gets out of the car, gets behind the barriers, looks memeable.
That photo's crazy.
That photo's going triple platinum in
my house.
Was clearly doing breathing exercises.
Yeah, he was doing box breathing. We all know it.
He was having a category 5 woman moment.
Well, it's, again, deeply funny to me that George gets to do all this and no one says, what about the children?
What about the children?
What about the children? What about the example that you were making for the children?
What about being peaceable, mature,
ethical
drivers?
Well, and then Red Bull Racing's Twitter admin got in on this.
This was so, mostly I hate social media. This was not one of those moments.
This is what it's for.
This was beautiful.
And they said what?
Borderline something something?
Yeah, borderline something something, which is a direct callback to George saying that Max was borderline violent.
He lashes out with borderline violence.
And then you have like George fans on Twitter being like, actually having the official Red Bull Racing account make this joke is inhumane.
Inhumane!
Inhumane. That is the word they used. Inhumane and like something like propagating violence towards people. It's like, all right, dude, sure.
Then F1 commentary goes, that's a shame. That was some of the best racing we've witnessed in a long time. And it's like, no, it wasn't. Oh my God.
Get his boot out of your mouth.
Truly. We get like 3 virtual safety cars that race direction just completely neglects to tell us why. Except once there was debris on the track and a marshal did the funniest move possible, which was to scoop it up and then quickly do a dive through the photographer window.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really iconic. We missed a lot of on-track battles. What else is new?
Yeah, the direction was horrible.
It's been bad every week. This week it was extra bad.
I said this a few months ago. I'm convinced they're using AI to actually direct.
I think you have to be right.
Like, there's no way they have a literal human director managing all of these feeds. There's no way.
Yeah, and then we got some great racing, some ethical wheel from Max and Lewis, and then we had a really beautiful podium.
Yeah.
That's Montreal, baby.
Kimi's now won 4 in a
Four
row.
in a row.
Which is bonkers. If he wins 2 more races, he will match George's overall win stat.
I want that to happen so bad.
I think if he wins 4 more, he'll match Charles. I think these things are going to happen.
I love this little Italian demon.
I think he's funny.
He makes me laugh. Is Monaco next weekend?
Monaco is June 6th, so we have a weekend off.
Oh, thank God. That brings us to the grid as ... which, for the uninitiated, is a moment in our podcast where we categorize a handful of riders and drivers from across the Great White World in motorsport as a present, place, thing, concept, idea, and in honor of the month of May and us getting into Gemini season, we're going to do the grid as famous Geminis. You know who's a famous Gemini in my heart? My sister, Franny.
And what about the next one?
And Zoe.
Thank you.
Would you like to go first?
I would like to go first. Alanis Morissette is a Gemini.
Of course.
And that's Pecco Bagnaia.
Yeah.
Like, duh.
Does she get down on her knees in a theater?
Okay, bear with me on this one. Tenzing Norgay is...
oh, I know.
Yes, famous mountaineer. I figured you would know who he was. He and a friend of his were the first climbers to reach the summit of Mount Everest and return safely.
He was a Sherpa.
Yes. His birthday isn't officially known, but
they didn't really keep birthdays in rural Nepal.
They do think his birthday was in May, therefore they're counting him. I think this is Luca Marini.
Okay.
Because I think Luca Marini loves an adventure and he loves to kind of like push himself. Man is learning Japanese.
Yeah.
So I think he's Luca Marini. Marilyn Monroe is obviously Marc Marquez. Fascinates everyone. Everyone's in love with her. Everyone hates her. Ass that won't quit. Duh. Right? And then last but not least, I do think it's kind of funny for Valentino to be Peter the Great.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
100%.
Which, funnily enough, Peter the Great and my sister have the same birthday.
Crazy.
One more.
Okay.
Boris Johnson is all of the FIA.
Yeah. Also, Mike Pence.
Geminis have some epic highs and epic lows.
And Newt Gingrich. Alex Albon is Richard Iowade.
Yeah. I was about to have a conniption.
Alex Albon is Richard Iowade. Very clearly.
Yeah. Ugh, I knew Kendrick Lamar was one of my people. Petty bitch. Really good at it.
Zach Brown is Rudy Giuliani.
Totally. You know who else is a Gemini?
Who?
Jackie Stewart.
Jackie Stewart is Paul McCartney. And Paul McCartney is Jackie Stewart.
I think Paul McCartney is also a Gemini.
Exactly. George is George III.
God.
Am I wrong?
I decline to comment.
Regnal. Crazy. His team is declaring independence.
Fernando Alonso is Joan Rivers.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh yeah. Love a Gemini. Love a Gemini. I think that brings us to the end of the podcast. Make sure to like, share, rate, review, subscribe to, comment on, engage with any and all of the above on the podcast. Help us grow. We'd really appreciate it. Make sure to come hang out with us on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, YouTube. And let's keep chatting soon.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.